Hello and welcome to Digital Anthropos. Today we continue with our cognitive biases, and we have in our program the clustering illusion. I'm Adrian Bolboaca, programmer, trainer and coach.
Hello, and hello Adi. I'm Johan. I'm a developer and technical coach.
So what's this clustering illusion?
Yeah, the typical example of this would be something like, so you're at the waterhole and you see a lion around noon, and then the next day you see it again at noon. So then you conclude that you will never go there at noon again, right?
So reading from here, it says this is a tendency to see patterns in random events. It's the key to various gambling fallacies, like the idea that the red is more or less likely to turn up on a roulette table after a string of reds.
Yeah.
So I have this example in software where I was talking to a programmer and he was saying that Java is dying, and I asked, why, what do you mean? Especially because I worked with so many companies that use Java intensively. And he said, look, I have these two organizations that I know are stopped using Java, and they are started using Python, and so Java is dying. Next year nothing will be, no Java programming will exist anymore.
Oh, that would be so much code to rewrite.
Exactly.
A lot of work for us.
And I guess you need to have a few programmers who still know how to read Java. So it's weird to say that Java is dying in a year at least.
Yeah. So I was subject to this bias when I first learned about lambdas.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so great. It solved so many problems, and I had probably improved the code in 20 places, and I was fairly sure that it was always better than a for loop or a while loop.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. Now I don't see it as always better, but I had a streak of that, and so I thought it was truth, right?
But this happens when you learn something, right? You tend to see that idea that when you have a hammer you only see nails. It's a tendency in the process of learning.
Yeah.
I think that it's interesting that clustering illusion tries to approximate the reality, and in a way it helps us be less anxious, right? This is the idea, and I guess it brings us a bit closer to a kind of a certainty.
Yeah, definitely. It simplifies the world, anyway, for many things.
Yes.
Even though it's wrong sometimes.
It's true.
So I have other examples, like, I don't know, one person who said that PHP language sucks, and it turned out that he had dwelled a little bit in the source code of WordPress,
which is not great.
Which is not great. Not very recent code, and so on. So I mean, it had nothing to do with the actual tendency. And we see this same thing in microservices are always good for architecture, and streaming architecture is always the best choice, and CQRS and event sourcing, all applications should be done using that.
So this is related a bit to the bandwagon effect that we discussed a bit about previously.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I guess it is. I'm not sure it's for that reason that I saw that, but yeah.
Yeah, but the idea that even then we discussed about microservices, in a way it is related to the effect, at least. I don't know if the causes are related.
But here it can be like, I've done something 3 times, so it's always better.
Exactly, yeah. Yes, so the reasons are different. So the idea is that it creates a fake certainty. That's with the problem with this bias, and this certainty is not necessarily right. it hinders us from seeing the truth and trying to have something that's a better solution for us.
Yeah.
And maybe also makes us more rigid in a situation where we think this is the one, we should only do this, but in fact there are a lot of better places.
Yeah, we're more sure than we actually should be about things.
And your example with the lion can get you to cost your life, right?
Yeah. So in that case it was a good approximation. But so how do we rid ourselves of this problem, or how do you fight it?
So I think there's a relation with the zero risk bias, because also this bias tries to generate certainty for us, and in a way it relates because the zero risk bias has the same idea. To simplify, it's counterproductive in the same way. You can lose your life by following this idea.
Yeah, we love certainty, right?
Yes, sometimes too much.
All right, I think that's a good ending word. Thank you, Adi.
Thank you, Han.